Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about some baits that are designed here in Arizona, Arizona-based company called Blitz Lures. They make a number of different things, but today I'm going to talk about their frogs. You know, frog fishing can be interesting, and Arizona has some great places where I think frogs can really excel. Areas where I think you can throw a frog, certainly certain times of the year, is at Roosevelt Lake, up in the trash, up in the trees, in the jungle, as I call it. Same with Alamo, right? Back in, and those are the river. So in Alamo, you're up in the river, and there's trees everywhere, green trees, bushes, lay down logs, all kinds of things. Frogs are amazing for that, okay? Another area in Arizona where I love throwing frogs, especially in the fall, in the late summer, fall, when the grass has grown, is down at Martinez, okay, in Yuma. Great frog fishing water, and so is, by the way, the river in Lake Havasu, up in the river, again, where there's a lot of grass growing. Now, also, by the way, there's many people throw frogs at Saguaro because there's a lot of grass in Saguaro. So, frog fishing is a specialty way to fish, but I think a lot of people are using frogs to catch some really big fish. So let's just talk about Blitz lures a little bit because, like I said, they're designed here in Arizona and run and sold by an Arizona company. So let me talk a little bit about the Blitz lure frogs. I got 4 of them here that they make. A classic frog right here called the Badash. There's a buzz frog, and that's what the name of it is, and I'll show that to you in a second. And they have 2, in a sense, popper frogs, one a little bit larger and one junior size. So let me look at each one independently, and I'll take it out of the package and we'll talk about them. So here we have the traditional frog that people have been using for years. It is designed to go over grass mats, let's say, but of course you can throw it just as easily over logs and into trees and through bushes. But here you see, when I take it out of the package, what it looks like, okay? The rubber legs that flow behind it, and it has the two big giant super sharp hooks, okay? One of the keys to more hookups is to have as soft plastic as you can with the sharpest hooks as you can, okay? So the Blitz Badash is exactly that. It has everything you need to really catch a lot of fish. Now, this bait weighs, let me see here, let me get this out. Frogs are, you know, kind of heavy. They're not super heavy, but let me see what this one weighs. 0.71 ounces, so it's not quite 3/4 of an ounce, but that's what this bait weighs. And that's okay because when you throw a frog, you want to throw it on a heavy rod because you're throwing this in the trash, on top of the weeds, doing all that kind of stuff. So you want a rod, powerful rod, a heavy power rod, probably with a fast tip. Okay, maybe a moderate fast tip if you want something a little less, with a little more give, but you got to have a strong rod. And so with those kinds of rods that are the heavy power, you want a little more weight to cast. So this bait is perfectly set up in the size of the bait and the weight for casting on these you know, powerful rods. So let's move on now here to the buzz frog. Okay, let's see what's interesting about this. There we go. Again, this is a pretty good sized frog. Let me just compare here. They're about the same size, okay, which is fine. And it has these particular buzz type legs, okay? Now, the purpose of this frog is that you can do it, you can fish it 2 ways. We can throw it out there and you can fish it just like the Badash frog, by the way. You can throw it out there and pop it ever so slowly, or you can throw it out there and reel it back real slow. So it'll get this thing doing a very subtle along the surface of the water. I see this bait here is going to be incredible. I love fishing for fish in the fall year when they move back up in the shallows. If you noticed, I've done some buzzbait videos, catching fish on buzzbaits, and this is an alternative for throwing a buzzbait, something that you can throw into the most heaviest cover. And when it's moving along the surface of the water, it's going to be less dramatic, less noisy, less antagonizing on the top of the water compared to a buzzbait. Sometimes you want that in a buzzbait, right? You want that noise that triggers the fish, but sometimes they want a little more subtle, and so a buzz frog like this could really do it. Plus, again, super soft plastic, right? And these crazy sharp hooks. This weighs 0.81 ounces, so it's a little heavier, but again, so I can throw this bait a long ways, using braid, using a powerful rod, and just bringing it back. This I can't wait to use both both these I'm going to use pretty quickly here, post-spawn, time to get going, but I love this buzz frog idea for the fall. Now they have two poppers, a regular size and a junior size. So let's take a look at that. There we go. Look at that. Okay, there we go. It's a pretty good size frog right there. And let's just get the junior out right now so we can compare sizes. Packaging, you got to love it. There we go. Do it that way. There we go. Here we are. Here are the two sizes, okay? You can see the difference in size, all right? And that's okay, because sometimes you might want a little more subtle frog, a frog that you can throw on a little bit lighter rod, and I think that's achievable here. Still a strong rod, but it doesn't have to be maybe as powerful for casting ability. So you can get a medium heavy with a fast action rod to throw this smaller little bait. If you're bold and you have a spinning rod that's pretty strong, you know, might be able to throw it on here. Meanwhile, again, you have this perfectly good popper frog. Let me see what it weighs. So this one weighs 0.71. That's the same as the Badash one. And let's see what this one weighs. Yeah, 0.46. This is a ½ ounce, and it's about 3/4 of an ounce, okay? So again, this is what they look like. Super soft plastic, same plastic, super sharp hooks. So this particular frog is going to sit with its nose up like that. That's sort of a classic popper position, by the way. Like if you think of the Rebel Pop R, which is a hard bait, they sit in the water. When you pull them, they go blook, right? So they don't move a long ways. They'll go blook. And that's the behavior that you're going to get from this particular frog, and most likely this smaller one. You're gonna throw it in there. It's gonna hit the water, and you're gonna let right next to cover. Right, you're gonna be throwing up next to trees or bushes, or on top of some grass, or in a grass pocket, where, if you will, or along an edge. And when you pull it, it'll come up and it'll bloop, and then it'll go back to sitting. Of course, if you move it faster, you could move it faster. And another thing here, the popper face is kind of small, so it doesn't produce a giant spitting action, or really it doesn't necessarily produce a giant plopping action, okay? But these frogs are different, and they're going to behave differently. And it all depends on what you like to do. They weigh the same, they have different profiles, okay? And of course, you can get them in different colors to your liking. This one, when you work at it, more of a walking situation. When you pull it, it kind of walks, okay? And this one here will ploop, or it'll, you know, kind of spit. Again, I'm fascinated by this little bit smaller size, and throwing it on a little bit lighter rod, especially in the fall of the year, when you're sort of after the dragonfly bite, as they will. Fish move in the shallows, and they'll eat. And there are times when I throw poppers in the backs of coves, but sometimes there's too much brush. And if there's too much brush, you can't throw the Rico where you want to, okay? So lo and behold, you have this popper, small size popper frog. Of course, I might choose a different color, but nonetheless, I think this is fantastic. Now, by the way, just talking about this white bottom here, in the shad spawn at Roosevelt or Alamo, you know, having something with a white belly that's moving along the top could certainly emulate a wounded shad, especially in this size. You know, perfect. Now that I've sort of introduced these to you in a couple of different sizes here and in different models, right here they all are, all laid out. Face them this way. What we're going to do next is put them to use in different time sequences. So I may produce one video from this or two videos, but certainly I'm going to start fishing some of these in the spring here, post-spawn, and then certainly I'm going to fish them again in the fall. That's what's going to happen. This was an introduction of the baits as I got them out of the box, and my first impressions of what they look like and how I used them in the pool. Now, later, I'm going to go use them, and then I'm going to show the video, and we'll talk about them again.